Hello, it is 12:27 and I don't know if I'm going to do a walk today. It is Sunday and I want to get the emulator figured out. I'm trying to get a lot of like minutia kind of done. Um I did some looking into the like storage stuff. Um it's a whole side thing. I'm just kind of like ugh. I just know that everything's gonna be like there's gonna be a big stink about it. So, um, I hope not. But anyway, um, so yeah. Here I actually want to. Let me. Well, okay, I'll figure it out. Um, my plans today again are to like get the rest of the tech stuff figured out and to kind of get my the back of my car basically packed so that I can actually see what's left. Because I have basically everything in boxes at this point. So I'm like, okay, I have a few things on my desk that I need to sort, and then I have a few things in my shelves. But in the shelves, most of that stuff is going to be packed in my backpack, which is something I want to start packing. So I see realistically what can and can't fit there. Um, but yeah, I need to do some shredding. So today is definitely going to be like catching up on everything. Um, I I still haven't done the Discord thing, so I think I should like also set up a an admin account for them so that they can access the stuff and do everything they need to do. Um, so yeah, I feel a little weird about leaving the box here, but also I think it's okay to leave it here. Um, I think that's just more of like my personal thing rather than it being an actual like issue. The car feels different. So, yeah. Um but yeah, I also have like the camping supplies and stuff that I'm like, okay, like, you know, um that's there. So, I'm not sure if I want to take this. So I have a thermal rest like mattress, and I'm not sure if I want to bring it with me. Like part of me is like maybe I should. Like I should test it out and then see if it's actually sleepable by itself. Because if it is, then that would be huge as like a backup for any because it's very small. It's about this big. But like I don't know. We'll see. Um, there's a lot of we'll sees. It's getting down to the wire. Um, I also, if I have chance, I probably should look into the Italy booking the Italy stuff. So so then I can have that figured out. Um, because I can in fact just book it. So yeah. Um, oh man, and then I want to do the suit thing. I don't know if I'm gonna do that today. We'll see. But so there's a lot I want to get done. Um, I guess My main thing that is kind of like bothering me, uh I don't understand why, and I'm kind of okay. I'm going to bring this up. So my roommates, specifically one of them, decided on a specific price to rent out the room. Now, it's not my call to say what they should and shouldn't do. The thing that kind of bothers me is that they're just lying about like costs on things, and they're inflating the price. Well, this roommate specifically is inflating the price to make it look like one thing, and they're effectively trying to sublet without subletting. Now, I don't know if they're going to even allow the person to sign on the document. Which is in and of itself a little concerning, but it's not really my problem. I'm not going to sign, and yeah, I'm gonna. I also need to. I gotta remember. I need to call the housing people and let them know that I'm not signing. But yeah, um, I don't know. It's specifically with my my friend. It feels like they're doing the thing that they always do, which is kind of like the soft no. It's not a hard no. They're not confronting. They're not doing any of that. Instead, it's, well, we decided something, and then we're going to kind of like, the decision they made makes it to where it feels scummy. Like that's all I can kind of really say about it. And I'm not saying that they're doing anything necessarily wrong by wanting to sublet instead of just splitting bills. But also it's kind of like I mean, they're just being greedy. That's really what it boils down to. Um, they don't like the fact that they're gonna have to pay for internet now. Because, I was paying for internet. I didn't ask them for anything on internet. So, that's another bill. And on top of it, it's like the nickel and diming that turns into a decent chunk of money. Um because it's like I won't go into specifics on numbers, but I'll just say for having I agreed when we initially moved in here. I was like, look, I can pay an extra like $50 or $100 or something um to yeah, it was an extra 100, I think. Well, okay. Mathing it out. Yeah, it's basically an extra $100 to stay in the master. Um, I felt like it's like, okay, like, is it completely fair? I mean, kind of. Like the other roommate is paying an extra, I think 50 to have a second room because there's 3 rooms upstairs. Um So I have the master, and then he has the two rooms. He has like his main bedroom, and then an extra like an extra side room for his office, which he's always wanted. So that's great. So it's, but when we moved in, that was kind of the agreement. And moving forward, it's like he tacked on an extra $50 and said I was paying 150 extra, not 100. And then he said that there was a price hike of the rent increase, and then he also is like, well, and utilities and the internet. So whoever is moving in here is basically getting tacked on a bunch of extra bullshit because they don't want to split everything properly. And it's their choice, it's their roommate stuff, it's the situation, but also it's like it just feels wrong and it bothers me. Um and so my buddy is like, "Hey, like, you know, why are they tacking on all this extra stuff?" And I'm like, "Bro, like I'm trying not to get involved because it isn't my it isn't on me to force them to try and do something that they don't want to do, right? I gave them a like this whole thing. Okay. This whole thing has kind of bothered me because I just expected, okay, they're looking for a new roommate, and I have a buddy who is like the most responsible person that I know. He's very like he's just on top of his stuff. He doesn't fuck around. He just is like he's genuinely like a great guy. And yeah, he has his own, set of stuff that's going on, but it's like I don't he doesn't seem to be the type of person that is going to have a lot of drama with them. And it kind of everything kind of got twisted where instead of it being me helping them find someone who's actually like a cut above just some random person, they kind of went the way of, or I say they, this isn't actually all of them. It's the one roommate who is telling the others that this is how it's going to be. And I'm not going to talk about the dynamic stuff there. Like, that's how they've always existed. And is it okay? I don't think so, but that's just how they live, and that's it. So, um, this is kind of one of the issues that I always kind of would run into is like the one roommate would unilaterally just make decisions, and then if it didn't work out his way, he would get upset. It's like, you know, so, and this is to say that obviously I do love and care about them. It's just frustrating when this dynamic basically is making it to where he's decided that they're going to sublet this place. And that kind of puts me in a situation where the initial suggestion of, hey, here's my rent, here's what I do, and like, you know, me basically making it a win-win for both of them where they get a roommate that is really responsible and all of this stuff, and they don't have to worry about trying to find someone that's actually like, reasonable or whatever. Um they have that, and then he also gets an upgrade because obviously he doesn't have to move, but like he wants a bigger space. And then it's kind of turning into like a, oh, well, we're doing your friend a solid. And it's like, no, no, no. That's not what's going on here. Like, he doesn't have to move in. And I'm doing you guys a solid by giving you someone who is really good and like basically can just like come in and, be really, really grounded. And so it's just the whole thing just feels gross because I I don't know. I can't believe that like I'll just say on like an emotional personal level, them basically going onto Facebook and finding literally random people and then being like, yeah, these random people are the same as your friend is stupid. It's stupid because what they're telling me is my discernment is very poor. And so they do not trust that my friend would be a good fit with them. And so because of that, they're going and looking for their own stuff. And here's the thing. It's like it's obviously completely fine if they want to find someone else. It's a suggestion, it's an option, but they're kind of trying to, well, he specifically, because it's not all the roommates, it's just him. He specifically is like, well, I'm not satisfied with your decisions on how you figure stuff out. So I'm going to look and I'm going to sublet. I'm going to lie about how much you're paying on rent. And I'm just going to try to milk as much money out of this as possible. And I don't know. It leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Because, I care about them, but I also care about my other friend who's basically getting fucked here. So yeah, it's like it puts me in a really shitty situation. And so, I just told my friend, I'm like, look, I don't agree with what they're doing. I can't stop them from making decisions on this. And here's what I think about the situation. Here's what I paid. If you think that you can obviously negotiate with them and figure it out, right? Um, but I'm starting to think maybe it's not a good fit for him because they're being incredibly, well, he is being incredibly sneaky about effectively making him overpay. And if he's doing this to a friend, it's like, man, like that sucks. And I don't know. It's like I get their perspective. I don't think it makes it right. But, you know, the fact that like, they're like, "Oh, well we want to do a flat amount." when, utilities is kind of something that fluctuates. Sometimes, you pay $150, sometimes you pay $80. And it's like, well, if you math it out and say, oh, utilities is just 150 flat, it's like, well, that's bullshit. Um, but it's like, where can I be frustrated? Like, I feel frustrated for my friend, but also it's like, I'm no longer a part of their group when it comes to like the rent and all of that stuff. So it's, you know, I can't and shouldn't get involved in their process of figuring stuff out. Um, I don't know. It's like, I think this was kind of like the final decision on me not leaving the car here because if they're gonna do this to a friend of mine, where they're gonna just straight up lie, and they didn't think that, or he didn't think that I was gonna like know about the lie. So it's like, I don't know. It's the little things. It's all the little things that kind of add up over time to just tell me that they do not care about me in the same way I care about them. Because if they did, they wouldn't do this stuff. They wouldn't fuck around with stupid shit like this. Um, another example is like I didn't know that the the one roommate's mother has wanted me to come over and hang out and see them before I leave. And I'm like, yeah, like obviously, like they've been very kind to me and they almost treated me like just one of the family, which is really nice and really kind of them. And I'm never told when they go and do things with the mother anymore. It used to be, hey, we're gonna go and do a thing, uh, just letting you know that we're gonna go and like, go eat lunch or whatever. Do you want to come? And I'd know a couple days in advance usually. Sometimes it's like a last minute thing, and they're like, oh hey, like we're gonna do something today or tomorrow or whatever. And now it's just kind of like, the last couple times they just haven't told me, and I know what's happening in the background, and it's frustrating because it's like sometimes I haven't gone with them, and they're like, oh, he blah blah blah, whatever, he didn't want to come or whatever it is, right? But now it's kind of like, well, I do want to like see her and like chat with her and let her know that I really appreciate like everything that she's done. Um and it just kind of feels like they've been intentionally kind of not telling me until the last moment when I already had plans. And some of it could be forgetfulness, and that's fine. But it's kind of like to me, it seems pretty obvious if you know for a week that for an example, um, the her husband had a birthday coming. And so they were planning this whole thing out and they wanted everyone to show up and like enjoy just spending time together. And it's like, you're telling me that no one in the house would tell me? Like I was it was yesterday. And it's like yesterday I had a bunch of plans and I'm like, okay, I'm coming down, I'm doing my thing, yada yada yada, whatever. And no one told me. No one said anything about it, even though they knew it was going to happen that day. And then I find out later, it's like, oh, well, we did try. I sent you a message on Discord. And it's like, okay, like, send me a message on Discord right as I'm about to leave. Like, and obviously I didn't check my computer. So, I turned off my computer at like 8 in the morning because I was getting ready to go and do stuff, or 10 in the morning or whatever it is. And so it's like, well, I do have a phone. You could text me, you could call me. Obviously, just leaving a Discord, which I don't check, is like I feel crazy for pointing out these like obvious things where it's like, yeah, you're obviously not making an attempt because either A, you don't want me to like interact with you guys, or B, it's like a punishment or something because you're mad that I'm leaving or whatever it is. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, I can tell there's like, it's not just we're forgetting because things have shifted. And so, it's that plus the rent stuff, plus like, the mega insistence on the car. Like every day I'm getting harassed about the car, or every time I see them, it's like, hey, so have you thought about the car yet? Hey, so have you thought about the car yet? And I'm like, all you care about is the car. You don't care about me. You don't care about what I'm doing. You just care about the car. And it's like, it frustrates me because it just shows me the lack of actual, like, they don't care about me as much as I thought. Um, because if they did, they wouldn't be acting the way they are. And it's not that they don't care about me at all. It's just that, there's kind of this, it's frustrating because it's like, I can't just bring it up and say, hey, why are you guys treating me totally differently? Well, why are you acting this way? It's like, I know why they're acting this way. So it's like, bringing it up and then, them going, oh, well, we're not actually, and you're just being crazy or whatever it is, right? Like, of course there's going to be an excuse because at the end of the day, it's like, well, they don't want to have arguments. They're very like conflict averse. And so, even if they do feel like, well, you're not a part of the group anymore, so we're going to treat you differently, they won't actually say it. And, how much of it is like subconscious, how much of it is malicious. I don't think there's much maliciousness there. I think it's more of just like when you change your perspective and you decide someone is in a different ring of your circle, you treat them differently. And it's like, that sucks. Um, I don't know. It's like I don't fucking do that to people. So it's another one of those things where like I get it, but I don't understand it. If that makes sense. Uh, for me, pretty much anyone that I interact with, I'm like there. I care about them, and that's the thing. That's it. It's not. I don't like try and tier people. I recognize people's faults and I can get frustrated sometimes like I am now, obviously. But, it's like it doesn't detract from the way I view them. It doesn't detract from how much I care about them. And it just seems to be the case that that's not true for most people. And so it's another one of those like confirmations for me. Really, and it sucks, really what all this is doing is just confirming how right my decision is. Um, and I don't think they even realize that that's what they're doing, which is like, you know, I don't know. I sorry, I'm just thinking. It's like I don't know, I feel like an asshole for even just like being upset about this stupid stuff. Because it's like I feel so like I feel like everything is twisted around to where me leaving is like I'm the bad guy. That's what it really feels like. And that's what that's what the one roommate has kind of been pushing. You know, he does uh he makes it a point to let me know how upset he is that I'm not going to be hanging out with him. And how me moving out is like making him inconvenienced. But then, it's like then he goes and does stuff for, a couple days and I don't see him. And then it's my fault that we're not hanging out. And it's like, okay, like I dislike this behavior because I'm not the bad guy here. No one is. And making someone the bad guy is just stupid. Um I don't know. It's frustrating to be able to see both sides because it's like I can't I'm mad, but I don't have like there's nothing I can like it's not even mad, it's frustrated. It's like I'm frustrated because I understand their perspectives so well. I get why they're acting the way they are. Um And for me, I like just hashing stuff out. But their way of kind of conflict resolution is we don't talk about it, then we yell, and then we're done. That's kind of their conflict resolution, which sucks. It's like the most ass backwards way of like dealing with situations. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to bring it up with them. And, I feel like I feel bad about venting, especially if I'm just doing it here. But like, I don't know. I I figure if I'm doing it here, um, you guys don't obviously know who these people are. So, um, yeah. So I feel like there's like some anonymity there. Um, and the idea of like poisoning the well for friends, like back when I was talking about my other friend, uh, who I've known, since high school, and how I've basically poisoned the well for these roommates when it comes to what they think of him, because again, back a couple years ago when I was talking about the situation I was dealing with him, things were different, and I just had a very different perspective. And this is where it's like, once you like, I didn't really fully understand or grasp what poisoning the well really does. And so, I don't know. It's like, that's why whenever I'm like talking about this stuff, I always mention that like I do love and care about them and all of this stuff, because it's like I do understand that even just saying something where you're frustrated and you talk about something, even if you're being completely fair about the situation, it will taint and change how people are viewed. Um, I don't really have a good solution other than to just not talk about people at all. And it's like, sometimes it's important to figure out the feelings of like why you feel a certain way. So it's like, why am I frustrated with the way they've been kind of acting? And again, it's more specifically the one roommate. Um, the other two have been cordial with me. Now, I also do know that cordiality is like, it's how they treat people that they aren't completely like close with. But also it's like it's complicated, right? Um, but it's kind of like I think the thing that really at the heart of the issue, the the real thing that I feel upset about is not about the specific things that are happening. It's about the fact that I thought we had a deeper relationship and a deeper kind of connection than we actually did. that's what is like bothering me. And really all of these are just symptoms of the fact that when I'm not in the inside group of like the friend group and the roommate group, they suddenly treat me different. And it's not that they suddenly are like, well, you're no longer our friend. It's like all the things that they used to kind of check in on or talk about or whatever are no longer a thing. And that's what hurts. It hurts because, you know, I'm not treating them different, but they are. And I don't know. It's like, yeah, it sucks. And again, I don't think anyone's to blame specifically. I just think it's like they're treating me different because I'm moving. And that makes sense for them because that's how they treat people. They have people in different boxes. Oh, you're the roommate box? Great. We have a certain level of intimacy when it comes to our relationship where we chat about stuff, whatever, right? But if you're not the roommate, you're in a different spot. And if you're not that spot, you're in a different spot. And it's like, yeah. And I've just been saying the same thing, but it's like, I didn't realize how different we view people and how different we view interactions. I am just myself, regardless of who I'm talking to. And, you know, I'm just me. And, I've mentioned stuff like this to them in the past, and it's never gone well. So it's like, um, there's no point in bringing it up because, again, this is where, I've talked about this in the past with you guys on how when you get to a level of understanding where you can fully see the problems that people are dealing with and the struggles and all of that stuff, there's a level of empathy there, but there's also kind of like an understanding that you can't help fix the issues that they're dealing with because they have to learn it themselves. And so this is one of those scenarios where it's like, I could say, hey, like, you guys are treating me differently and it fucking sucks. But what is that going to do? All that's going to do is cause conflict. Um, and so, and honestly, they're not going to change their behavior. That's the big thing, is it's like me bringing it up. If it changed the behavior and they're like, oh, we didn't realize and, we're sorry and whatever, and then the behavior changed, like, that'd be one thing. But even then, even if that was the case, it's not really my place to try and get people to change. And I know that sounds weird because it's like, well, I'd like for people to change. That's, the whole channel is like about what you can do to change. Um, and about, working on yourself and, talking about my journey and how I've kind of, oh, I'm so sorry, and how I've kind of like progressed and all of that stuff, right? But I don't know. It's like, you just have to kind of understand that at a certain point, it's not your job and it's not your life. And it sucks that you see these things that are like easy fixes. Um, Sometimes they're hard. Sometimes they're really hard fixes. But you know, it's like, yeah, it's just, it's tough. And I'm still in the process of like figuring out, so what do I do with this insight? What do I do with this understanding? I talked to you guys about it, but it's like, what does that actually mean for me interacting with people? Because I still love them, I still care about them, I still support them. Like, if I didn't, I would have done things way different in this move. Um, I've tried to make it as peaceful a move as possible. Uh, I've tried to make it as gentle of a change as possible. And, you know, I understand that they don't fully understand that I'm doing that. And they're kind of like, they're seeing all the things that they're losing, but they don't see all the things that I'm giving them. So it's kind of like, I understand. I understand that that's kind of, they're in a lack mentality. And because of that, they only see the loss. Um, so yeah. And it's the other thing is, it's like, just because I'm not living with them doesn't mean that I'm not going to interact with them and hang out in the future. I'm going on this quest journey thing. I don't really know what the outcome of all this is. And because I don't know, it's like, it's hard to know where I'm going to live. It could be that I stay in the same state. It could be that I live outside the country. I don't know. Um it's kind of the whole point. Uh but I think they don't see it that way. They see it as me leaving forever. And I don't, it's possible that maybe in the future uh things change enough to where maybe I do end up like living near them or whatever, right? And maybe I don't. I don't know. Um but I don't know. I think also part of it is just like, it's frustrating because I get it. I fucking get it. And it makes it hard to kind of just watch everything kind of unfold this way. So, Anyway, I don't know. Been talking for like 50 minutes about this. Uh, I really, I really just need to kind of let it go because they're all adults. You know, both my friend and them are adults. I've told my friend what I feel needs to be told. I've told them already what I think needs to be told. I already told them that I don't think it's fair, but you know, it's their choice, right? So, so yeah. Um, I guess I need to get some stuff done. I should probably get the car kind of situated and figure out like what it even looks like and then do some shredding and I got all this stuff to do. So, I will talk to you guys a little bit later. Sorry if this is a little bit more on the like, you know, depressing or frustration side or whatever. It's uh I've known this for a while. It's just coming to terms with like what I know and just letting it go because I can't I can't change their behavior, and instead it just tells me where I stand with them. It doesn't change how I feel about them, but it does just change like how often we're going to be interacting because yeah, like if they don't want to interact with me, then we won't interact, right? Um I've always kind of been someone who doesn't necessarily reach out as much, but I'm totally, I tell everyone like, "Hey, I'm totally down to chat, to hang out, to do whatever. You just have to tell me you're interested in hanging out and then I'll make an effort to like figure it out, right?" Um because, I have my own stuff I'm doing, and because I get so like locked in and focused on stuff, I lose sense of everything else. And that's part of who I am, and I tell people that, and it's nothing against them specifically, whoever it is, right? Whether it be friends, family, this is how I operate. And so I just let people know from the get-go, "Hey, if you want to interact with me, you're going to need to be the one to reach out because I am very focused on working on my own stuff." And so, you know, I will occasionally try and reach out if I haven't heard from someone in a really long time or whatever, but that's the exception to the general like thing with which what if like how I do things. And yeah, so like the people who just haven't wanted to interact, they just don't, and that's okay. Um so yeah, an example like the all the friends that I kind of went and visited, my one buddy who is he plays WoW. He's the only one who's like reached out and interacted since we hung out. And that's cool. And so I told him today, I was like, "Hey, I really appreciate that you are chatting with me and just hanging out and, whatever." So, yeah. So that's kind of it. And some people may feel upset or angry or frustrated that this is how I operate, and it's like, okay, like I'm telling you this is who I am. Uh it's not that I can't make the extra effort to reach out and interact and whatever, but this is just how I operate. And just as I don't expect someone else to change their behavior, it's kind of unfair to expect me to totally flip my behavior because they're not happy with how often I interact with them. Um it's this weird like thing. Like an example, my mom used to do this where when I would interact with her, it was kind of she'd be like, "Oh, well, why didn't you interact with me more? Why didn't you text me or call me or whatever?" It's like, "Well, I'm busy doing things. Like I'm busy working, I'm busy going to school, I'm busy helping my grandfather, all this stuff." And I just kind of had my own stuff going on. And so if she wanted to reach out, she would. Uh and it feels like it feels a little bit manipulative to want someone to interact with you, but then be angry that you're the only one reaching out. And it's not, again, it's like if I say, "Hey, this is how I operate," right? Because I understand some people are a different way or whatever. But it's like, "Hey, this is how I operate. If you want to interact with me, all you have to do is reach out, and then I will make it my priority to figure out how to interact in whatever way you want to interact. That is my only that's all you have to do." Uh, and like sometimes I'll say, "Hey, I can't do it today," or whatever because I have other plans. But like, I always try and make time. If someone reaches out to me, that signals to me you're interested in talking to me. Um, and so I'm like, okay, you're interested in wanting to interact? Fine. I'm ready. We'll hang out. We'll do whatever, right? And me not reaching out doesn't mean I don't like enjoy your company or whatever, right? It's just more of it's kind of like you could say the same thing about me, where it's like, well, you say that, but why don't you ever reach out? And my answer to that is I literally am just like too focused on stuff. And I don't know if people fully understand um like if you haven't ever gotten into flow state and are just working on something and everything else falls away, it's really hard to explain this. Um I don't know. I'm not even sure why I'm talking about this at this point because it's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to explain myself again. This is how I operate. That's it. I don't need any extra stuff. Okay. I kind of just started rambling at the end here. I really do need to let you guys go and get some stuff done. So I guess I'll talk to you later. Sorry about that last part. All right, bye. All right, guys. Hello. It is 10:30 and I feel like I got a lot done today. I kind of had the realization as I was kind of doing what's it called? The handheld emulator stuff. I was like, am I gonna play like even the game? You know, I made a whole list. Here, let me pull the list over here. So I made a list of you know, almost an entire page of like old games and stuff that I'm like nostalgic for and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, you know, that'd be cool to have like all the Twisted Metals or you know, Warcraft 1, 2 and 3, Pokemon, you know, all this stuff. And then I started thinking, I'm like, I kind of already have some of that stuff. So, hmm. So I started questioning. And I kind of realized I actually don't really want to do emulators of these games. Also, a lot of them I kind of already have on Steam. At least a lot of the yeah, there are some games that I just can't have on Steam. But I also have a Switch, and the Switch has like all the Final Fantasy games, and you know, it's kind of it's weird, but I realize there isn't really a point for me to do the emulator stuff because I'm just not going to use them. So what I should be doing instead is looking on Steam and adding more games from Steam onto the Steam Deck. And then I was like, oh, I just realized because I have a converter for the internet, I can actually plug it into my Steam Deck and have wired internet. And that I was like, oh my god, that's going to be huge. Because the Steam Deck's wireless is kind of bad, if I'm going to be honest. Or I say the Steam Deck. I keep calling it a Steam Deck. It's not a Steam Deck, but its wireless is not great. I have to be really close in order for me to actually get like full wireless capabilities. So you know, I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, maybe the play is actually to plug it in and really just start downloading stuff that I want to play that, you know, I may not necessarily need to have, you know, the internet for, so I can play in offline mode. And then if I have internet, cool. But like, you know, so that was my thought. But yeah, so you know, I cleared out the vast majority of the stuff that was sitting here, and I got them into the 3 boxes, and I ended up getting a 4th box, more because I was like, the trunk is kind of uneven, so I wanted to put a 4th box in there, and if you know it fits fine and all that stuff, but the 4th box ended up being like all of the like bathroom supplies and everything that I use. So that's cool. So just kind of put that together. I'm just looking around and like at this point I have my clothes, my tech stuff that I use every day. And then I have a bunch of papers I still have to shred, but I brought the shredder up here, so I can get that done tomorrow. I also took pictures of the passport, which I gotta check off. Copy. Oh, I also copied my important passwords. I got a credit card. I know where these are going, so I don't need to worry about that. I kind of know where this is. Tomorrow I'm going to get the Euro cash. Right. Passport photos. I put what I did for the passport. I realized I'm like, oh right, I can just have my my email can just have a copy just sitting there, so I'm like prepared in case anything happens. Which I'm not gonna go there, but so really, out of this list, I'm not gonna do this. I don't think I actually need to do, well, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mm, 7. 8, 9. I've like 9 things that I want to get done, but they're all individually relatively like simple in theory. So yeah, I think the main thing is I do need to go to the bank tomorrow. Also tomorrow I'm going to be working on yeah, I got still I got a lot of stuff that I have to do tomorrow, but um in the evening I'm gonna go with my roommates and like do dinner and chat with them and everything, and with one of the roommates' mom. I think I think that's what's gonna happen. So that'll be nice. And yeah, it's at this point, maybe on Tuesday I will wash all the clothes and everything that I want to wash, so that then they're basically just all ready. I do want to buy a couple new pairs of shirts. Some of the shirts that I have, I just don't like. Um, and so I like this shirt with this kind of like patterned, kind of the black and blue dotted kind of pattern. I like these shirts better than the other ones I have. So I'm gonna get more of these. So yeah, I think that's my plan there. I do have a bunch of clothes that my one buddy gave me. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. They're probably just gonna sit in the car, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what they're gonna do. I'm also don't know what I'm doing with the suit either. Because it's like uh, uh, it'll work itself out. But I am as close as I really can be to being ready. Um, it's like I'm excited, but also it stresses me out. So, um, yeah. But anyway, um, it's kind of gonna. This week is just go go go, and then I'm kind of off and I'm doing stuff. I did take a walk today, but I didn't film it. I just kind of wanted to just listen to my book a little bit and, just do a walk. So I enjoyed that. Um, yeah, I kind of just have. It's like so sad just looking at this room and seeing how empty it really is. But I mean, it's good. It's good that it's empty. So, you know, that's the goal. What I might do is, I think maybe after the haircut, I will put the suit on and show the whole look. I think that's the plan. So, man, it's 4 days. 4 days. It's technically 3 days of like getting the last few things done in these 3 days, and then I'm flying. It's oh man, it's like all the preparations. I'll see how it all turns out. Um, yeah, and I think I am gonna do the one suitcase with the backpack. I I'm gonna try to see if I can make the backpack my only thing, but I don't think it's gonna work. I think there's too much stuff I'm gonna put in there and want to have. So, but yeah. So I'm just thinking of like, oh, I think I am actually gonna try and take this mic with me. I'll just detach it and then I'll leave the arm like stored. Like I won't take the arm with me, but I will take the base and then I'll probably just like hold it. I could even potentially use my selfie stick or something. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I don't see it being too much of an issue if I hold it. Uh because it is a good mic and I do like it. So I figure it probably won't take up too much space. Although I say that it could. And if that's the case, then I'm going on my backup plan, which is using um the action camera plus the clip-on mics. So, yeah. Um hmm. Is there anything else I want to kind of say or talk about? I think something I do want to bring up that I've been thinking about is it I know I'm ready, but I don't know. I just know that things are changing in a pretty drastic way, and I don't know. I There's a little melancholy about it. I've talked about it a few times, and I don't know. I just know that regardless of what happens, the friends and family that I have here, I'm still gonna love them. I still care about them, and that's not gonna change. So I just know that sometimes we make friends, and those friends may not necessarily be in our lives for our whole life. Where there may be periods where you're off doing things or they're off doing things, and then you get back together and you hang out like you used to. Um, and just like the tides, it's kind of a back and forth. And I think that's why it's important to always strive to be there in the moment and to enjoy the moments you have with whoever you're with. Um, I think back to like the frustrations I've had with my mom or my dad or my grandfather, and they don't really matter. The things that I hold on to are the really happy memories. And I think it's kind of just what we do is we hold on to the happy memories that we've had with those people, whoever they are. Um, in the case of those people, like obviously I don't have a chance to see them again in this life, but with the roommates, I do have a chance to see them again. Um, so it may be goodbye for now, but it doesn't have to be goodbye forever, right? So yeah, but this era, I mean, this era has already ended. Um, so it's not this is the interim space, the in between space. Um, and that's why it always feels so weird, because it's like I'm stretching to accommodate this new life that I'm walking into, and in the process I'm having to open myself to have the empty void that all of the things I've been letting go has kind of left, and to allow that kind of void space to exist for the new things to show up. And it's uncomfortable, especially when you're not sure about what's going to happen. So it's kind of like I feel as though the past, God, like 10 plus years has kind of all culminated in this week. You know, all the things I've worked through, um, all the wonderful friends I've made have all helped me get to and become the person I am right now. And I'm not perfect. You know, I'm always working on trying to be better. And I always try and question, like, what's the best way of kind of handling situations or doing things or whatever. And there's never a perfect answer. It's just whatever the best answer you can come up with in that moment and what like fits with you, that's what you do. Um so yeah. I'm I've been through many death and rebirths when it comes to just the different versions of myself that I've been throughout my life, and how with each kind of major turning point, it's been like a shedding of, you know, like old skin effectively. Uh and sometimes it's really like fast, sometimes it's really slow, but with the kind of death of the way that I used to exist comes a rebirth of a new way I get to exist that fits me even better than the past me's version. Um, and that's kind of, you know, I think about a similar situation where, like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have been able to record me back when I was living by myself. Oh my gosh, like those were such different times. I remember the buddy who ended up like getting removed from the house or leaving. Um, the he he just randomly calls me and is like, "Hey, you want to move in together?" And I was like, "Okay." And who would have thought that that would have led me here? It's crazy. And you know, he obviously had his issues and he's still struggling to kind of figure himself out. But I'm really grateful that he was in my life throughout the, you know, the many years that we hung out together. And I don't know. It's like this is kind of what I'm talking about, where I haven't stopped loving him just because he's angry at me for making a decision that was kind of best for both of us. Best for the house, best for him. I don't know if he learned anything from the situation, but you know, I mean, it's kind of like I think this is just kind of who I am. And I really like that about me, that I can't think of any one person where I'm like, hey, I had a really bad situation with you and I never want to talk to you again. Because I think everyone always deserves to, that, we're not all frozen in time. And I think sometimes we let a certain version of someone become who you think they are. I noticed that with, my buddy who I've known since high school, where there were certain times when I would just remember a very certain part of him. And then kind of, at least in the past. And that's where it's like, I feel bad that I let that frozen snapshot dictate like the thoughts and feelings I was having. Um and so it's the same thing where it's like everyone has the opportunity to change. As time passes, they will change. Some for the better, some for a turn that maybe I might not consider good, but they might consider good, and who's to say that their change is not good for them? It might be, even if from an outside perspective, it may look different than you would think. It's the same thing with like my changes. Um, for the roommates, it's like I've changed a lot, and everything that I'm doing now, it's possible, I don't know, but it's possible that they may consider my changes to be negative. And they're like, man, like one of the roommates was like, man, I wish that like old Tom was here. Um, and so it's like, yeah, I understand. And this is kind of why I say for me, it's important to be open, because that snapshot that you remember someone as isn't necessarily who they actually are going forward. So just being open to interacting with people and talking with them and just seeing the new person that they are. So it's the same thing with the old roommate that got removed. There's other people that I do remember where, you know, in the past they may have done me dirty at some point, but I don't hold a grudge. And instead I'm like, I wonder what they're doing. I wonder how they've changed. And yeah, I'm not going to stop loving them just because they do something that, it's like, obviously if they do something that I'm not interested in them like continuing to do, yeah, then we just won't hang out or be friends or whatever it is in that moment. But they're still the same person. So it's like, why should I change the way I love someone? So, and this is kind of like the hard thing to explain to other people is this is unconditional love. That's what it is. Regardless of what someone does, you still love them. You may be pissed at what they did. You may say, hey, consequences need to happen. But you can still love them. And so that's what I do. So yeah. Um I don't know. I I appreciate all the moments I've had, and I look forward to the moments I'm going to have. And I think about the moment I'm having like right now, talking to you guys. Um, this eventually is going to be posted as a video, and I'll look on it and I'll be like, "Oh wow, this is past Tom." But right now in the moment, it's not, right? It's just it's current me filming this. And so there's like I don't know, I enjoy talking to you guys. And I would never have believed last year that I would have so many vlogs and be so consistent and talk about so many things with and then just put it on YouTube. Like, basically, I've told my life story. I've talked about my love life. I've talked about like depression, and the depths with which people like operate. I've talked about some basic stuff. Um, and I've been documenting all the changes I've been going through. And yeah, I I feel like all the changes I've gone through are going to pale in comparison to the changes I'm going to be going through during this whole trip experience. Um, and that's kind of like intimidating. It's like I feel my future self, and my future self is so like just there and bright that I'm like, oh my gosh, like how does the current me become that bright? Um, so yeah, it's like I don't know. Uh, but I'm walking that way, so you'll be able to find out how. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very hopeful, and fear doesn't really have any say in everything that's going to happen. So I'm just going to follow my heart and my intuition, and we'll see where it leads me. So I'm just thinking about like the earlier part of this video for today. Man, it's like what a change just from like earlier today to later today. Um and I think so, I want to mention something because I think this is important to like talk about. Um I think one of the ways that I'm able to keep this unconditional love open is because when something happens that I dislike for whatever it is, right? Whether it's me being unreasonable or whether it's their being unreasonable or whether it's we're both reasonable but it's just two different perspectives, whatever it is, right? Um I always take the time to work through whatever it is in my head, or in this case, earlier I talked through a bunch of the things that I was like, okay, I'm frustrated. Here's why I'm frustrated. Okay, why am I frustrated? And then it's like, oh, it's because of this, right? You guys kind of saw that. And I continue to do that. And I continue to try and showcase that through the videos when something pops up, right? But I think something that people don't realize or don't know, once I've worked through it and figured out the thing, it falls away. It's like I have done my processing, and now that it is processed, I don't carry it with me. And so maybe I have to go and reprocess something because I didn't fully process it the first time. And so I have to dig a little deeper or whatever. But that's a little different. But yeah, like I don't feel burdened or the frustrations like the earlier like frustration. It's literally not here because I just worked through it and that was it. And I understood where everything was going, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now, and that was it. And I understand that some people just don't do that, and the like frustration turns into resentment or hatred or anger or whatever, right? And I think that's why you can love someone in a conditional manner, and then if there's some friction, that can turn into hatred or whatever, because there's a line in the sand, a proverbial line in the sand that's drawn, that basically when you pass that, they're like, well, now I no longer love you. Whatever that line is. And it could be really, really far to where maybe most people never reach that line in the sand. And then some people's line in the sand are really close. And it could be like you say the wrong thing once and boom, you know? And that's why I think it's so tragic to love conditionally, because inevitably the line will be crossed by someone or something. And it's like, the thing is, love is, you can't run out of love. And I mean, it is infinite, like in the truest sense. And it's also, it basically just is like forever in eternity and all of this other stuff. I can't really describe it, but it's like it's overflowing. There's, you can be drowned in love. That's like how much unconditional love really is. And so imagine you not feeling loved and then you give yourself unconditional love. You're just overflowing with love. And it's like, oh my gosh, like that's insane. um so, that's where it's like you give unconditional love to yourself and then you give unconditional love to other people, using the unconditional love with yourself as like a base. And it's like, well, it's overflowing. So yeah, you can pour your unconditional love into other people and you still have plenty for yourself because it's infinite. You don't have to hoard it. It's not a scarce resource. So yeah, it's I don't know. It just, it feels like conditional love just feels kind of like a pale imitation, because there's only so much. It's like the difference between scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset. With a scarcity mindset, you always are worried about, oh my God, something bad is going to happen and I'm not going to have enough to do this, that, and the other. So I got to nickel and dime myself to save up. And then something happens. You're like, see, I told you that something was going to happen. And it's like, yeah, that's like when you live in a scarcity mindset where you think that you're not going to have enough, then yeah, you just won't have enough because that's the way you're living. Um, and with an abundance mindset, it's like there's plenty. There's an infinite amount that can show up for you. And so when you switch to that mindset, you realize that really fear is the only thing that kind of keeps you from just kind of letting go of scarcity as a concept. Scarcity is, well, it's something that we all are kind of taught to believe is the real thing. Like, oh, we only have so many resources on the planet. Oh, we only have so much food. We only have so much, money. We only have so much whatever, right? That's all bullshit. And yeah, it's like it's a system that tries to make itself look like it's scarcity when in reality, money is just it's fake. Money's fake. It's just random numbers and random stuff that we could just make up. Here we go. Suddenly this pen is worth $1 billion. $1 billion Tom bucks. It's like, now I'm a billionaire because I have $1 billion Tom bucks. What can I trade with it? Obviously people want $1 billion Tom bucks. Oh, you know what? Here, you guys have $1 billion Tom bucks each now too. Now we're all billionaires. Congratulations. It's like, it's that fake. It's literally just that fake. So, that's why like scarcity is just it's bullshit. It's just preying on people's fears, and really we can all have an abundance of everything that we want. But it does require a certain level of internal like commitment and validation to like understand who you are, and there's a lot of stuff. And again, I've talked about like steps you can take and ways you can go about it and stuff like that, so I'm not going to rehash this, but yeah, I don't know, it's it's a similar concept to the idea of like when stores would only get given for like new launch titles of like an example like the Switch or the Switch 2 or a new video game or the collector's edition of stuff or a new TV. It's all scarcity marketing. At the end of the day, I could just literally if I waited a little bit of time, I could get like, when the Switch came out, everyone was panicking because they were like, "Oh my God, we're not going to be able to get the Switch if we don't get it now." And it's like, now you can just buy it anywhere. Same with the Switch 2, same with like, every console, every game, every whatever. It's like, same thing with like movies. Oh, you got to watch it in the theaters because then if you don't watch it in the theaters, it's like, oh no. And it's like, well, actually, you can just watch it on like your home TV or PC or whatever in a couple months. or a couple weeks, depending on how fast it gets there. The newest phone, the newest this, that, and the other. It's all on scarcity. So I don't know. Don't really know where I was going with that, but I guess I talked about it. So yeah. I've talked quite a while today, so I guess I will let you go. And I just hurt my finger. Okay, I'm gonna go. Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.